Welcome to the Sourcing Hero podcast, produced by Una, a group purchasing organization that empowers sourcing heroes, and Art of Procurement, the world's largest procurement podcast network. I'm your host, Kelly Barner. The goal of the Sourcing Hero podcast is to capture the epic stories of people who are rising up and beating the odds to create exceptional value within procurement, directly from those heroes themselves. Hi, I'm Kelly Barner, your host for the Sourcing Hero podcast. Each week, I bring you guests who share their stories, experiences, and expertise in a casual format, both so you can learn from them and also so you can hear a bit of their human side. Each guest goes through a pre-interview where we talk about their background and get to know each other if I don't know them already. We also use that time to pick their main topic and brainstorm what we're going to share with the listening audience. And then I warn them. I warn them about my last question. No, I don't warn them about how to have people contact them. Everyone says LinkedIn. I warn them about the question on heroism. This is a question that predates me hosting this podcast, and I think it is an exceptionally hard question to answer. But as a result, it draws out correspondingly fascinating responses. I give each guest two options. Either, what is your definition of a sourcing hero? Or, because we're not all lucky enough to work in procurement, what does heroism look like in a business context? In nearly every case, I have absolutely no idea what the guest is going to say until they say it. Now, there was recently a quote in the newspaper, and that's what gave me the idea to put this episode together. Here it is. Heroism doesn't always happen in a burst of glory. Sometimes small triumphs and large hearts change the course of history. That is from author Mary Roach. We're about halfway through the year, and so it seemed like a good time to pause and share a few of the best responses I've had to these questions over the last 6 months. And so that is what I am bringing you today. First up is Magda Theodate. Magda is an expert in public procurement and international trade law. She joined us in episode 57 to talk about how procurement can turn their ideas, and others' ideas, I suppose, into reality. Let's listen to her answer to that question.
Yeah, you're right. That's a tough question. The only reason I'm going to be able to answer it is because I've seen so much heroism during the pandemic. I've seen so many, and I'm not talking about the commercials you see on TV that, so whatever profession you're a hero. I've seen people step forward in ways that they haven't before because it was a matter of survival, a matter of life and death, a matter of saving people's lives and of saving our society. So I'll answer it this way. I think a sourcing hero is that forward-thinking person who saves the day by taking a calculated purchasing risk that results in a positive impact, which otherwise wouldn't have happened. And I'll even take it further with an analogy. A sourcing hero is kind of like Santa Claus when he picks and delivers your Christmas gifts every year. He doesn't really know if you'll love it, but he buys you something anyway. He makes a purchasing decision to get you a gift anyway. Because why? Because he knows it's better than giving you nothing at all. There you go.
Well, first of all, I am so thrilled because it never once occurred to me that Santa was in procurement. So I now know
He is.
We're in even better company than I ever realized. But I like your combination of talking about, doing what needs to be done in exceptional circumstances, taking action, as opposed to not taking action. We do need to be action oriented if we want to change the way that things work, if we want to improve the way that things work.
Right, Kelly. And I'll just very quickly jump in
Of
and
course.
say, I know that there are listeners out there going, I would love to take action, but in my organization, I'm not encouraged to do so. Or I would love to take action, but my government is
Yeah.
very, very conservative. I totally get that. And I'm not encouraging everyone to do it. I understand that you may not be in a position to do that. So I hear you and I support you, but where you can make a difference, try to do so. That's what I'm saying.
The next bit of inspiration I want to offer up is from Ashley Sieb in episode 59. She's a longtime procurement friend who is as much a people person as she is a marketing specialist. Her episode was about life hacks for driving employee engagement, a very Ashley topic if you know her at all, as was her answer to my question about heroism. She actually took on the challenge of answering both of my questions about heroism, the one for people who work in procurement and the one for people who are not. Here's Ashley.
I love this because I think I can answer it in a way that would serve both groups. When I think of the word hero, so I'll just stick with that for a moment, I think of the storytelling framework that a lot of us learn in elementary or middle school, but we forget about because lives happen and new knowledge comes our way. The framework for storytelling always starts with a hero, and we meet a hero and we fall in love with this hero, right? Then something in their lives happens. There's a problem, there's a conflict, there's a challenge, and the hero moves forward with the help of a guide. So someone who is there to help them get the right answer, to try things. You know, people might be listening to this and thinking of a movie. Maybe they're thinking of The Karate Kid, right? And
Wax on, wax off. We're with
wax
you.
off. Yep. Maybe you're thinking of Finding Nemo, where, you know, Dory is the guide in that movie who helps Marlin, who is the hero, find his son again, right? A lot of these frameworks around understanding heroes in general can help serve us. And so when you think of, you know, what is it like to be a hero in the sense of a storytelling framework, which is where my brain lives, I think a hero is someone who is resilient, someone who overcomes the odds, and they're not afraid to ask for help. They're not afraid to ask that guide, that mentor, that manager, that partner in the community to help them solve a problem. And they know more than anything that everything worth doing is worth sharing with someone else.
And last but not least, I finally managed to get Una's own Kris Lance to join me on the Sourcing Hero. We talked about diversifying procurement strategies in the face of food shortages in episode 66. Kris is known as an optimism with a raincoat. And when it came time for talk of heroism, here is what Kris had to say.
So to me, kind of heroism in a business context would be one or a person or an individual who has a tremendous track record of success and achievement, but that's not kind of where their story ends. I would say that they're actually known for helping others and their achievements. And the reason I say that is because at least all the superheroes that were my favorites growing up, there was always a theme of humility. And I think we could all in the world use a little bit more of that. But to me, a hero in business is someone who lifts those around them and elevates everybody around them. It's not just about their successes.
And isn't it awesome that as procurement and supply chain professionals, even the suppliers that we partner with, it's amazing that if you really boil it down to the core of what we do, every single day we come to work and we find some way to lift other people and create opportunities and operate efficiently. We're very lucky to be in the line of work that we're in.
I would agree. I would say before 2019, I don't know that I would have really ever stopped to pause and think about the inner workings of supply chain. Whereas these days, you could almost draw any headline, either a straight or a dotted line. So it's every day is an adventure. Sometimes it's more painful than others, but it's definitely an adventure.
As you've now had the chance to hear, All three of these definitions are very different, as are the larger conversations they followed. I encourage you to go back and listen to all three of these conversations. And if you find what you hear interesting, reach out to those guests and let them know. Of course, I'd also suggest you subscribe to The Sourcing Hero wherever you get your podcasts, because every single Wednesday we roll out a new episode. We talk about everything from selling to procurement, procurement dealing with suppliers, potential shortages like chocolate or the food shortage we talked about with Kris. Every one of these conversations brings you a unique point of view from an individual about something that's relevant in the business world. But as the audience, you're not completely off the hook here. I think my call to action at this point, and consider yourself warned, is for me to ask you, and then I'm going to leave you to think about your answer to these two questions. What is your definition of a sourcing hero? What does heroism look like in a business context? If you have a perspective to share on either of these questions, I would love to hear your thoughts. So comment wherever you're listening to this, shoot me a note on LinkedIn and let me know, but join the conversation. Let's make this picture of heroism as big as we can, because, as Mary Roach told us, heroism doesn't always happen in a burst of glory. Sometimes small triumphs and large hearts change the course of history. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Sourcing Hero podcast. Join us again next time for more true stories of sourcing and business heroism performed by your colleagues and peers. Look for the Sourcing Hero wherever you get your podcasts, and don't forget to subscribe. Finally, don't forget, sourcing heroism is taking place all around us every day. Keep your eyes open and you're bound to see it. Until next time, I'm your host, Kelly Barner. Stay well and always remember that you can be a hero too.